What's up, my it's your boy Life as a mayor, and we're here with What's the Trend on the overall 99 Media Network, and I'm joined by the host of Do You Hear Me? Video came out yesterday talking about Aaron Rodgers and a whole bunch of other stuff. We have
Unico Williams, baby. So happy to be back, man. We've been working. It's like, man, I see you every day. And just like our fans see us every day.
That's what I'm talking about, bro. I literally text the squad so much lately. That's how you gotta be, man. You gotta work.
Man. This is the most I done worked in a long time, man. I love it, man. But what's the trend?
We gotta talk about what's the trend. First, it's been a light week, so we only got 3 subjects. Cause normally I'm gonna explain how this show go. We talk about the parent trends on Twitter, YouTube, and Google. This week we usually don't talk about what trends is. Basketball players that's going on, wrestling or something like that. So we just have to pick one of those usually trend. But we picked those top. Usually politics being politics. You saw Scott yesterday say America's not racist and all that, but it's the same thing. We don't want to talk about that. We gotta discuss now. So the first topic we discussing, Rick Santorium. We is getting a little politics, but we gotta call out the stupid. We're gonna keep it short, but we gotta talk about the stupid. He said America came from nothing. There was no culture here before Christopher Columbus came. Well, Native Americans, but America doesn't have any of their culture. Well, that does happen, Unico, when you have 5 million Native Americans, and then you show up and make them walk hundreds of miles, and it's just 200,000, which is basically what we call genocide. That's what happened. Unico, your thoughts on the stupid statement that Rick Santorium said?
What? You can't just come to somebody else's crib and just be like, oh yeah, there ain't no culture here. And then just pretend I wasn't here. Well, you can't do that.
Well, if I go to your house and I shoot you and I say it's my house and no one is there to dispute it, it kind of, because you
get this stuff out of here. Just get all this stuff out of here. Just get it out of here.
Mine now.
What? Who does that? We say that like the Native Americans,
white,
they have like a whole big culture of like,
yes.
What?
By the way, that offended me because my grandpa is named Mac Seabury. So if you know where I'm from, that's Choctaw Indians. Y'all know I call Joe my nephew, which means my brother. That's what that means in Choctaw. So yeah, that's kind of offensive. Even though I'm mostly black though, you don't get the question on the African American. My skin, but I am part Native American.
See, it's the people like you that be messing up the test results when y'all do those statewide tests. Y'all be putting all type of cultures on there.
Oh, bro, I just put black, bro. That's how they know me. That's what I am. The skin too pretty, you know what I mean? But yeah, man, it's wild. It's a wild thing to say. Hey, bro, all I gotta say is, a lot of people, I don't care about you, but just admit when you do wrong, bro. Because I asked my cousin what the Tuskegee experiment was. She don't have a clue what it is. Hey, bro, you can't just keep hiding it. That's why people get mad. Talk about the Tuskegee experiment, the sterilization, the Trail of Tears, slavery, Jim Crow. I asked a friend from Florida what Jim Crow was. They didn't know what it was. They're like, slavery ended 100 years ago. I'm like, what? You do realize Martin Luther King's son is still here alive, right? They fought Jim Crow, and you don't know what it is. I'm like, and then they wonder why black people be mad. You literally like write history off and just like, Martin Luther King fought for freedom and equality and don't tell the story. From what? By the way, it's a lot that they don't show you in the movies that happen. Because if I were to write, I'm never gonna do this because I hate trauma movies. If I was to write a movie about slavery, they wouldn't put it out. Because I'm gonna put the real in it ain't gonna be, oh, you work and then you go back to your room and then I go to my office and I hit you with a whip. No, it's more than that. Unico, what do you know about Mandingos? And how they were treated and how they sterilized the weak African Americans which is why black people in America seem to be more athletic, because if they were deemed weak and couldn't work, they were sterilized. That means they couldn't have children. Why? Because they were undesirable. You couldn't work, it was undesirable. Same thing with Asians that came over here and Hispanics. But again, stuff America don't talk about. But that was a wild statement. That's all I had to say about that.
Yeah.
All you gotta do is admit it, bro. I'm not mad at white people. I don't care, but I am kind of mad at y'all. I'm over it. I just want to help me in the future. I don't care what about the past. Let's get
like
us
the
to
struggle
where we need to go.
the struggle we going through right now. This is my last comment on this. Like the American, like the black person's culture in America, like our history and story, like it just literally starts with us being enslaved. That's chapter 1. Like, whereas let my people go and all that stuff back in the Bible, that was like so many years ago. We just now with time is this big thing. Here we are towards the tail end of it, going through our slavery. We don't have, all we have is civil rights movement. The only thing we have as far as culture goes is fighting for rights. Like, that's literally all we have from a culture standpoint. Whereas I'm sure the tribes that were here before us, they got a whole bunch of stories, like the Great War of this or the Great War of that, or these tribes was beefing, and then there was a Great War hero. We don't got no war heroes, man. We got a lady that sat on the front of the bus because she ain't feel like going to the back.
Yeah,
and that's what we got. Yeah, that's our culture.
And then, like I said, all the smartest black people came, Black Wall Street, and America bombed Black Wall Street. They were like, why black people struggle? Well, we put our smartest people together to make an economy, and you murdered every one of them. So then all the non-smart people were together, and nobody could figure it out. Like, they literally all moved to Oklahoma City to form an economy so black people could get lifted from slavery in the 1800s after they got out of slavery. They literally like, hey, we're going to get together, all the smartest minds, the best doctors, and all these smart people. We're going to get together in a city, and we're going to come up with a plan. And they bummed it. And that's the history of America, but I know people don't want to talk about it.
I mean, do you realize that 1864, right? 1863, whatever. That was, in 1963, that was 100 years. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's
not that long.
And in 1963, fun fact, my daddy was a sharecropper. At 14 years old, he worked with my grandpa as a sharecropper, where he also learned from the white man that was sharecropping how to do carpentry, how my dad had become a carpenter.
That's your dad.
My dad.
And we're young.
I'm under 30.
Do y'all not understand how new this is?
I'm under 30 too, so that's that.
This is new.
Yeah. And now we're gonna talk about some more fun. I know that wasn't fun for some people, but sometimes you gotta get a little uncomfortable, you know, so you gotta shake a little bit. And some of y'all gonna be rooting it on, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, last statement, I want to clarify before somebody get confused. I like doing this. When I say I don't care about what white people did in the past, I want you to fix what's going on now and in the future. We can't do nothing about the past. Help me fix the future. That's all. I don't care about that fake woke crap. Oh, I'm so sorry. Don't be sorry. Let's figure it out. Now let's go to something talking about figuring it out. We have the JPP boys back to business. The Joe Budden Podcast is back. Probably gonna be the title of this. They came back after their month-long hiatus, in which they had drama and arguments and disagreements. As a podcast, we understand. We know what they're talking about. We heard about respect 1,000 times.
Yeah.
We heard a man tell somebody he don't owe you nothing. We heard Rory just skate through like nothing happened. Unico, your thoughts?
Based off of how Rory started off the conversation, I thought everything was cool. Like, he was just like, hey, I was in Atlanta. I needed a quarantine before I came back on the show. So I stayed in Atlanta for 2 weeks. So, and then we just made a thing out of it. No big deal. And then it just went into like an hour and a half rant about respect versus Joe Budden being Joe Budden. Like, he says some odd stuff. Like, it would be weird to be my friend. You know what I'm saying? Like, he would make it awkward. Like, in a sense, I got some friends like that right now where sometimes they say stuff, and I don't think they mean it that way, but the way you come off,
I know what he's saying, but he say it's profoundly
he says
dumb.
it wrong.
What he said,
feeling
when he say I don't owe you respect, I understand what he's saying in terms of that word is what he's on. Not that I don't give my friend respect. I don't owe anybody anything. And to be honest, nobody owes anybody anything. That is true. But if you're my friend, I'm going to give you respect. Then he got on some weird rant about people on the street. I get what he's saying. You want to respect every person. I give you respect, you give me respect kind of thing. So it's respect anyway. But friendships, you get leeway in that respect. Even though I get what he said, I don't owe it to you. That word is probably what he got upset about more than anything. But
I'd say you say that to somebody you about to start a business with or something, or you say that to somebody that you don't really know like that. I don't think you say that to your friend of 20 years though.
Yeah, that was very awkward. I got what he was saying, but he said it wrong.
Yeah.
Like, I get what he's saying. I don't owe it to you. I give it to you because you're my boy, and I'm going to forever respect you. And you know what I did these 15 years we knew each other. You know how I get down. That's what he said. You know how I get down. You know how me and you are. And you know how much I ride for you. I don't owe you that, but I do it because I'm your friend. That's what he tried to get across. But he come off as egotistical because he is. He is very narcissistic.
Yeah, that's it. That's what it was cringy. Absolutely. Yeah. That's what I was getting. Because at this point, I'm like, who do you think you are? Don't make me get off the highest chair on this set and punch you.
And
see if you respect me then.
And Mal, you said I'm built different. No, you just like everybody. Bro, you're sensitive and insecure, my guy. And there ain't nothing wrong with it. Because 90%, most of the world is sensitive and insecure. You saw people in your spot and it made you feel a type of way. And all you gotta do, you felt it's okay to feel that. You know what I mean? If I've been working on something for 7 years and I see somebody on my spot and I'm like, oh, you think you could just replace me? You know what that's called? Insecurity. And that's okay. And I see you respond to people in your comments on Twitter being like, when people say, oh, I hope Mal never come back, you respond with something. I was like, I hope they keep icing this. You responded before. And you like, so? You responded to it means it does bother you. And it's okay. People act like, I hate when Mal act like he's so cool that he can't be human. It's okay to feel that right?
Yeah, I mean, it's okay. But at the end of the day, like, that's where Joe made a good point too. Like, this is my show.
My life.
I'm responsible for it. So I gotta have a show whether y'all on it or not.
And Parks made a point.
Keep it going.
Yeah, and Parks made a point. I need my check. Park make sure you put that in there. Like, I needed to work this month. I couldn't take a month off. I have a certain way of living, and if I don't get paid money, and I'm pretty sure some more people on the show that feel the same way. So as a business owner, and Joe said the same thing. What business structure does that? And Mal went on to talking about concerts and musicians. Musicians don't work all the time. They get money beforehand. They get money to do stuff. They get marketing money. You are like an institution. Other people work there. So do people do have to work? And it's okay. Like I said, it's okay to feel some type of way. You don't just shut down because somebody else do something. I still got to teach Joe how to do this just in case I get down again.
If I'm in the NBA, just because I'm beefing with KD, I still need to go to work.
Unless you Kyrie, because he seemed to get off whenever he wants.
But you Draymond Green, you might not rock with KD, but you still got to go to work.
Yeah, people gotta go to work, man. Even if you're mad. By the way, let's clear this up. Joe telling that man the podcast, none of your business is all I would need to know. That's all I don't know what you trying. Know you trying to keep me with your friend, but I be like, and then I be like, how long my contract for? That's all I would have known. That's all I would have said. How long my contract for, bro? Okay, I got this many days. I got a year left. All right. It ain't no. Just ask what you want to ask, Mal. Quit saying respect 1,000 times, my guy. Ask him what you want to ask him. Joe, am I replacement? That's all you gotta ask, bro. Sit in that chair. You keep talking about respect. Do you respect me enough when I'm in the show? I'm like, ask him, am I replacement?
He knows the answer to that, so he's not gonna ask it.
He does know the answer because
he knows the answer. He's trying to make Joe feel bad and be like, well, don't replace me if it ever comes down to it. No, Joe's gonna replace you.
He did. And I'm gonna say this: the show was better, bro, with Ice and Ish. That show this week, that episode was so hard to get through. That was a rough watch. And then I went back and watched some of the one before. That was a rough watch. And I realized I just started back watching when Ice and Ish were back because they're more of a conversationalist. More so than Rory and Mal. Rory and Mal like a joke people. So it depends on your style. If you like Rory and Mal because you like the jokes and the inside jokes and all that, I get why you like them, you know what I mean? Because that's what they brought to the podcast. Mal come up with these, that's nasty. The fact you do that, that's nasty and that's wild or something like that. That's crazy. Blah, blah, blah. Ish and Ice was more of a conversation. So if you like conversation style podcast, the people that like that, like Ice and Ish. The people that like the jokes, like Rory and Mal. Problem now is, it ain't many jokes, my guy. It's all serious, so the podcast ain't as fun. Whereas even if I think Ice and Ish had if they had a problem, they could still have conversation that'd be entertaining, even if they had beef. Because, like I said, Ish is more of a conversation. And by the way, Joe, I noticed people saying in the comment, Joe does respect Ish more than everybody else because I think Ish was like big homie in his hood. Well, he met Mal a little later. Because he does give a certain reverence to Ish when he talks. Because I think Ish is from the, like, he know Joe's dad when they call on the phone, I think. What up, Pops? I don't even think Mal does that. So I think it's more of a, like, Ish is an older homie in the same neighborhood, I thought. I don't know. I could be wrong. Y'all could tell me. But it sounds like he's the older homie in the neighborhood that Joe gives respect. Because I remember Ish told him, don't stand up next to me no more. Joe, it was dead up next to me. But yeah, man. It's about, people got, man, business and loyalty is a hard thing to always distinguish anyway. But, like, we know, I don't know if I told Joe this. I want Joe on a bigger stage so everybody can see him. That's my goal for Joe. My goal for Wes is to have that bad mom, the house on the hills and all that. I want this overall 99 ENT to be $1 billion business. And I can make 20 to 30 millionaires. Joe, one of them, Bree, West, and whoever else. I want 30 African-American millionaires. That's my goal. That's all my goal. So if everybody know the goal, it's kind of simple to do. I don't think they know the goal. So the loyalty.
Man, them niggas is too old to not know their goal. Like, what are you talking about?
And then, yeah.
They got notoriety. They can go off and do their own thing and make their own money if they want to. Maybe not as much as having this show, but they grown, man. They are grown. So maybe they don't have a goal for maybe their show, but as far as what they want as human beings, Mal, you too grown. You grown. You know what you want. You ain't got to sit over here and curtail Joe Budden. I didn't know you before the podcast. I'll be honest. I apologize. But there's people that know you before then. Well, I think
you don't know who he is, you know Biggs. Biggs from Kanye's son.
Oh, yeah.
Little brother. Big brother to Biggs' brother. Mal is Biggs' brother. Real brother.
Got it.
Yeah, so that's
what I said. I know he runs with he used to run with Jay-Z back in the heyday.
So yeah, Kareem.
I'm trying to see if Jay-Z hiring. What you talking about? I ain't worried about you, Joe Budden.
and you man, there's a lot of feelings that they ain't talking about too, bro. It's a lot of feelings because Joe brought up when they laughed when Jay-Z made that joke about so what. Like, y'all laughed at me. I'm like, bro, ain't nobody. You ain't bringing it up unless you felt a type of way.
Of course. Of course.
It's a lot of unworked fit. Bruh, all I'm gonna say is get together, say what's the goal for us each, and just go from there, man. You know what I'm saying? Cause that loyalty, all that crap weird. Cause once you don't know your goal, loyalty is weird. Especially in business. So everybody know what the goal is for everybody. We know what we all trying to get to. Where the boss want me to get to. And all these people, what everybody want everybody to get to. Do you want us to get there? Yes. Okay. We're going to work toward those goals. Like I heard about Logan Paul. He announces on his podcast and his show that everybody, the goal is to make me the biggest star in the world. So everybody that works for him or is with him, know that's the goal. You can't get mad if that's what the goal is. You understand that. Get a clarification. That's all I got to say about loyalty. And the final topic. I know we a little long on all these topics today. And this goes back into loyalty and all this and all that talk. Dr. Umar Johnson says, we know you, Nico, is a big fan.
Huge fan.
Yeah.
Huge fan.
And the people has been discussing how he's a huge fan, even on this podcast. I'm going to let him go first. You, Nico. Dr. Umar.
I enjoyed the interview that he had on the Breakfast Club. He's always interesting to listen to. I believe that out of everything that he says, you can take out about 85% about what he says, sometimes 75% of what he says. So you can take it in right. It's real jewels. Then he says some things that kind of just throw you off. Can you remind the audience what he said this past week? That was a little controversial.
Which one? He always said, but about the interracial marriage.
Yes.
Yes, he said you should not date interracially. By the way, the person he was naming the school after dated interracially. And I'm like it does when you do, and then he tried to blame black people for his school failing or not coming alive. I'm like, bro, you got the money. He does this weird things when he does this. He makes great points. Also, he says crazy things too. But yeah, he was going over how you shouldn't date interracially, and you should use. A lot of people interpret it as telling black men you should date black women and use it as economic power instead of dating outside your race and curtailing to their culture, even though every other culture keeps their culture when they do it. Those type of people probably won't stay in their culture. Anyway, you see the Candace Owens, she probably doesn't feel represented by black people. I got a whole deep dive. I might do a Zell theory on that. But they don't feel related, so they're not going to do it anyway. So the people that don't do it. They feel love and all this separate thing. So I don't know how well that would work. And I don't think it matters as much. And it's this weird loyalty thing that happens that also allows African Americans to be manipulated by other African Americans to do things, like certain instances in charities and other organizations that use black trauma to benefit themselves, as Jesse Jackson does. I just did that. I had to do it. Yes, you see his son a thief too, but that what happens. That loyalty thing, people manipulate and use it. So I don't know how much it is a manipulation or whatever, but he made a lot of great points. You probably should get back to your community, bro. And to the ultimate point, you should get back, because ultimately Joe Budden ain't finna help you. You can tell. How long we been waiting for these white people to save us? And that's kind of the point I 100% agree with him. And if you mad at something, I said something, go watch that the What's New 99 podcast. Stop being a beta male. Just because I don't like one thing you're some rich black dude you see on TV say. Get over it. But for the most part, I agree with his overall point.
I gotta say also, so going back to the interracial thing, I'm cool with it. I don't mind it. He made a point, like he's like, it
ain't none of my business who you marry.
He was like, white people or a white woman isn't going to marry somebody that's not going to help them. That's not going to make them elevate in stature, because that's what princesses date princes, that kind of thing. Man, look, the more interracial it is, the less racist people can be. You know what I'm saying? So I love walking in the store and see a white grandma or a white grandpa walking around with their biracial grandkids. I love it. I'm here for it. And it's giving them a heart. It's giving them a place in their heart for Black people because they now have these grandkids. So that's changing the game. And then also he made the point.
Huh? I know a lot of people in Mississippi right now that got they gonna be like, I ain't raised you like them. That's what they tell you, Michigan. You ain't like
it's
them.
a little different up this way. But but the other point that he made about the about Asians being probationary white people, he made some good points on that because, like I said, I do have some Asian friends, but I've never been in their homes. And you know what I'm saying? Like I think that sometimes the Asian people are more outwardly racist, but like they don't say it. But it's what you call it when it's underlying the subtle racism, or you know what I'm saying? They're not quite just out calling people N-words, but they distance themselves and whatnot from Black people. But when it comes to white people, you know, a lot of times they shake up all that cool stuff. So I think he made some good points on that based on my own.
That's also a dramatic exercise, I would say. It depends on where you're from. For instance, that would more likely happen with a South Korean than a Japanese. Some cultures don't let you in their house at all. Some cultures do. Some cultures more just like Cubans in the Hispanic community, more so relate to white people. Dominicans, more so. Sometimes
then he was also speaking about the conservative aspect of it too, though. Like most because where they're from is more, you know, listen to the leader. There's really not no stepping out of line with those kind of cultures. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
it's
but that's generalizing again. It's like generalization never really work because it confuses. Just like when Trump.
It's just my opinion. I'm going off of my own experience, and that's what I see.
Like when Trump yelled at the Chinese virus and somebody just attack a random Asian person, the Asian person ain't even from China, because unless you go there, like to be honest, until I went to Japan and South Korea, I couldn't tell the difference. But once you know the facial structure and how they different, so you start noticing like people that never really been around Mexican versus a Puerto Rican, they might not can tell the difference until you really go to meet one of them or meet the groups and separately, and you can tell the cultural difference and all that. That generalization is kind of dangerous, and that's why I always hate generalization, especially because they do it with Black people too. Like, oh, you know how everybody in Chicago do. Everybody ain't from Chicago. Everybody ain't born in the city, in the streets like that, and doing all that. But generalization again is dangerous again. So if I just say Asian people do this, which culture you talking about? Like I know Cubans relate to white people a lot.
Well, I definitely respect your opinion. I respect your soliloquy on generalizations and all that. But
shout out my Mexican homies, bro. They be lit with me though. Cubans don't mess with me, bro. They're like Dominicans though. Dominicans don't. They don't mess. Some of them, half of them don't. Well, you call Dominican Black, they get mad, but some half of them get mad. Half of them know they Black. Bro, I'm like, bro, look at your skin, bro. Come on, bro. You know what
it's a lot. I mean, just going to New York alone, it's so mixed in a lot of different ways. Like it's people that's Dominican and Haitian, Dominican and Haitian, and all them cats they claim Black up here, and they be taking them trips down to both places, and then it's wild. But at the end, like I said, I just hope that it's enough mixing going on to where we can stop doing all this silliness and being racist, man. Just let people be people. Because I think that's the best way to go. Make a new race of people, just people.
By the way, I heard a lot of people in America say they don't feel represented because America seems to be very black and white, and it's very interesting. And I noticed that even in the Hispanic thing, when you write, it's like, are you Hispanic non-black? And I'm like, so you pick like black or white Hispanic? Is that what you asking? And then I asked somebody, my Hispanic friend, Puerto Rican one, and Cuban one, they're like, yeah, that's basically what that means. Do you relate to white people or black people? And I'm like, even I know the Chinese people say they don't feel, they like, you act like a black Chinese person or you act like a white Chinese person. I'm like, what is that? Is America all white and black? And I thought about it, and I really want to have a debate well, not a debate, more of a questionnaire for other cultures to see how they feel in America.
I'm gonna do my generalization thing that you don't like and say, yeah,
Yeah, I feel like
Absolutely.
they do. I feel like America is everything they relate to black and white. And the Asian, I want to have. I saw an Indian guy say on a podcast talk about how he always feel like nobody involved. It's all about which side are you on the African American side, are you on the white side, and it's not like all that. And then like some of the Asian people be like, why do people pick us? Like, oh, look at they the good minority. And they were like, what's a good minority? Are you using us against somebody else? And I'm like, yeah, they're using you against black people.
I just feel like they were people that got to bring over their values. They got to come from from where they're from and bring over their values that is in their country. They got to bring their culture with them, whereas we did not.
But yeah, they didn't get took because Europeans know better than to go over there and try to act up because they from the
same. Ride a little too long.
They from the same they from the same history. African American, if you know about the Southern African history, outside of a few, well, it was always wars, but it was more peaceful competition wars. Most people don't know this. They like, oh, it was always wars. It was. Then they got a little more serious. Then the slave trade happened. If you know a little place in South Africa, it's a slave trade place where they sold it to the Europeans and to some of the Chinese too. Chinese treated better than the Europeans did though. They treated them as the old indentured servant style slaves. People don't know what that is. You work off a debt, you become a citizen, blah, blah, blah. That wasn't happening in America and Europe. They were like, nah, fam, I bought you, I own you. So it was different culture and all that stuff. But like I said, you know about Genghis Khan. Only 2 people almost ruled the world. Alexander, well, it's a few more. Alexander the Great, Genghis Khan. What is that, Unico? An Asian person and a white man. So they were like, come over here and take us. We'll go. But plus, if you know the Asian community, I don't know which one. I don't want to say the wrong thing. If I'm wrong, y'all can check me because I'm not always right. But I'm trying to recollect in my history. I think they made guns too. Africans didn't really have guns. White people got guns. It's kind of a different story for the poor people in Africa when they have a gun advantage and you don't. And the Asian people, like I said, I think they made guns. So come over here with that smoke you want to, my guy.
Definitely figured out how gunpowder works for sure.
Yeah, so y'all can check me if I'm wrong. I got a lot of knowledge up here and I'll get it confused. I'm 100%. But thank y'all for listening. This has been a little longer one, but I feel like these topics needed to be discussed. It's not too long, so it's only 30 minutes. But I appreciate y'all. Remember to keep stomping. Unico, any last words?
No, man. Keep on watching the channel. We're going to keep it cracking.
Yeah, I felt like this was amazing. What's the trend? It was more in-depth. Normally, it's not going to be like this. I promise it's going to be more goofy stuff. But we only had 3 topics. And then once you discuss them at a certain extent, you got to go all in. So I do apologize. We're going to try to keep these to 18 minutes. And I want to really watch the draft. So, by the way, if y'all want to continue the discussion, go in the comments. Talk to us about like and subscribe. This is on the YouTube. We do this every Friday. Usually going to be with Unico. Sometimes he might not be able to make, so I'll do it solo. And I'll just run through everything that happened. Hopefully next week we get more fun topics. And a bunch of them so we don't have to talk as long. And we can get y'all out of here quicker. But I feel like this needs to be said. And we should go really deep on this on another day. But we'll talk about loyalty and all that stuff. And business on another What's New Now. And remember, like I said, keep stomping. Why? Because you never know. Today you might win the lottery or something amazing can happen. Peace.
Peace.
Fly right past you, been running it up since last year. I've been on my Papa need a brand new band, yeah. No drip, just my texture. Them kids sit back, my tab, yeah. Bitch, we live.